Well, I just got done breaking down some cardboard boxes. When you buy something, I like to break down the boxes and save the large panels. Gives me some good target backers and stuff. And I was also cutting a little bit of cordage, securing a pop-up blind to some trees and stuff. And I tell you, for a lot of the work I do, I really enjoy using this Spyderco Endura. This particular one I picked up at Blade Show a couple of years ago, and it's just the Zytel or FRN handles. Now then, this one is in VG10, so it is not, some super steel made in Seki City, Japan. I don't know if it's focusing on that, but it's not the latest and greatest in technology, but what it is a fantastic work knife and slicer. You're looking at about 3.5 inches of cutting length with an overall length of about just over 8.5 inches. With the FRN handle, see if we can get a weight on it. It is not heavy for that much blade. So 3.37 ounces. That's not bad at all. You can tell I just cleaned it some, but you can still tell that there's smudges on the blade from the abrasive and everything. So I figured I'd just strap it and lube it a little bit while we checked it out. But the nice thing about the Endura is the sliciness. That long, slender blade, it has a distal taper to it. Look at that. It just rips through stuff. Well, it doesn't rip through it. It slices through it like a laser. Yeah, the blade shape does seem kind of strange. It's kind of flat and then has a little bit of belly here. And also it's straight down from the hump up until you get right to the very tip there. And then it dips down. But what that does is make for a nice slicing and utility blade because it'll penetrate. It'll poke through. Like if I'm breaking down the aforementioned boxes, I can poke this right through and it will just slice like a laser through all that stuff. It's fantastic. No, the VG10 does not keep an edge like S35 or S30 or Magna Cut or any of the other super steels, but what it is very corrosion resistant. This thing has been wet. I just washed it off some. I got most of the goop off the blade. I'm going to need some solvent, like some WD-40 or something, to get the rest of that adhesive off. But it's great for that kind of stuff. In the hand, you have contoured curves here. And I'm not saying that they fit perfectly, but 2 fingers go in there, then a third and a fourth in those two. And then you have this built-in thumb ramp, which is jimped, along with some jimping on the FRN. You can really get a lot of pressure on that. So you add to the fact you can get a lot of pressure on the blade, and the blade, just the cutting edge and geometry, the edge geometry is fantastic. And what you wind up with is just an absolute beast of a knife for slicing tasks, like breaking down boxes. I just find myself reaching for it so much. And then also, it wasn't an expensive knife. This is not a fancy locking system. It's a lockback. It has the indention here, so when you're working on it, you're less likely to disengage the lock. It's just a lockback, a plain old lockback. You can wheel it out, no problem. You can close it one-handed if you want. But that simple locking mechanism and the VG10 and the FRN add up to a knife that just wasn't that expensive. You know, you go and you spend a lot of money on a knife. Is that the one that you're going to choose to take out in the woods to maybe cut some branches and clear a shooting lane or something? Or is that the one that you're going to want to really rip through a box that a cabinet came in to, so, you know, and might hit a staple with it or who knows what? You're probably not going to want to take your best knives out and do those kinds of chores. But with this one, no problem. I use the heck out of this thing and I love it. It is a kind of goofy blade, but a lot of Spydercos have that look. And still, they're probably one, if not the biggest selling knife brand. And you can see why, because they're designed to cut. There's nothing fancy about this. It carries tip up and has a reversible stamped steel pocket clip that you can see has been beat up somewhat while it rides around doing chores with me. But what more do you need when you just want a basic knife to carry with you to cut, and you don't have to worry about the FRN and the stainless steel. They're just not subject to damage or corrosion very well. So you strap it once in a while. It's not a super steel. Who cares? Strapping can be fun. If you have to even take it a little step further and go to full-on sharpening, the edge is fairly thin. It sharpens really easy. I know that there's a lot fancier knives. I've got fancier knives, and I have traditional knives that I really enjoy a lot too. But man, when I have a bigger job and I just need one that I know I can carry out there and it'll get the job done and going to involve a lot of cutting, this has just kind of been my go-to for a lot of reasons. Look at that full flat grind. Not only is this a slender blade, but it's a full flat all the way up. That really adds up to being a heck of a cutter. A heck of a cutter. So I can get some of that compound off there. Still have that adhesive on there. Let me see, I got some WD-40 over here. Let's see if we can get that cleaned up. And then we'll test see if I can slice any paper with this thing. WD-40, not a lubricant, but it is a good solvent and cleaner. It works well for adhesives and stuff like that. I think I even scraped some tree tar off of my windshield with it. The trees like to drip on the windshield and then it makes a mess. Oh yeah, see, look at that, how the WD-40 just cleans that right off there. Makes that blade pretty again. And after all that work that I've done with this knife, it's still it's honestly in great shape. And it's 2 years old. It's over 2 years old now. And I've really come to enjoy. I've carried it at work, cutting air hose and things like that. And it just outperforms most other knives. And I'm not saying this is the only knife that can do that. I'm just saying the Spyderco Endura is definitely a big full-size knife that does not cost a whole lot of money, at least in this version, and will absolutely take care of business. Let's see if, yep. It kind of lost a little bit of its edge, breaking down that cardboard, as is to be expected. So we're pretty much back to a good working edge now. That's what I wanted. And I'll be working it again. Now, the only thing I need to do, I did wash this out. So I want to get a little bit of lube. I like the KPL. This is the KPL original. And I use this quite a bit. I have the kit with the thinner stuff and the thicker stuff. And I've used each one of those a little bit as well. But I use the original viscosity one the most. I probably tend to overlube just a little bit. There's a little bit of gunk in there. Probably cardboard or pocket lint. Get that worked in. You can hear that. That lock is solid. No worries about that thing coming undone. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about the Spyderco Endura while I kind of serviced this one after working with it today. You guys like the Endura? I know that there's fancier versions of it out there. And honestly, I mean, you can switch this even to carry tip down. I don't know why you would, but I'm honestly, I like this knife so much that I may end up getting a fancier version sometime. It's funny with all the locks we have, the crossbar locks and the shark locks and liner locks, frame locks, all the ambidextrous styles and quick to use styles. I just got my first pivot lock knife. The old lockback is still a nice, strong system, and it adds up to a simple system that can be priced at a great value. So when you want to take this knife out and really use it, there's no problem. You're not worried about damaging some super expensive knife. So anyway, that's my talk about the Spyderco Endura. Well, one more thing. Yes, the blade is nice and slender, but also look at the handle. That handle is nice and slender. Let me get the caliber. So this is a nice, large, full-size knife, but it carries very easily. We're looking at 1.43. So, or I'm sorry. We're looking at, yeah, right around point. So 0.436, 0.44, somewhere around there. Sorry, it's getting late. So it's less than half an inch thick. So even for its size, length, closed is just under 5 inches. It carries very nicely. I just wanted to make that clear because a lot of people are concerned with the thickness of the knife for good reason. Depending on the pants you wear, if the knife is too thick, it can be a bother to carry. This Endura, absolutely no bother at all. What a great worker. Anyway, that'll do it for me. I appreciate you watching. Throw a thumbs up if you like this Endura, or if you just want to give a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it very much. You guys have a good one. We'll see you next time. Bye.